Went to a fight on Thursday, and a joint practice broke out, Steve Versnick, between the Bucs and your Tennessee Titans out of Nashville.
So not just the temperature outside rising, but the temperature on the field was rising.
That's what I read and wrote. Yeah, man, it was, and this is almost cliche with these joint practices. Generally, it happens with the second workout, but since there wasn't one, I guess they got after it. So Bucky Irving, after the play, got knocked down, and the Bucs took great offense to that, as they should. And it wasn't just the pushing and shoving variety. Like, there was some swinging going on there among the offensive linemen. I think Cody Mauch was involved. I know Graham Barton was involved. And, little number 6, is it 6 or 8? What does he wear? Baker Mayfield, number 6, right?
Yep.
Little number 6 was right in the middle of the scrum, pushing guys and then pushing them back.
That's just where you want your quarterback, right?
I mean, get him out of there. So it was funny because then once they saw that Baker was involved, now here they come off the sideline. Now we got ourselves a bench clearing brawl, right? Both teams off the sideline trying to pull Baker out. And the funniest thing I saw was Tristan Wirfs trying to make his way onto the field, the great protector of Baker Mayfield, in his crutches, which was come on.
That might be worse than Baker trying to get in the middle of it. Is Wirfs on crutches doing it.
Right? What are you going to do? Start slapping people with your sticks? Yeah, it was almost comical, but it was a legit brouhaha. I mean, those guys were going after it a little bit. Those two teams don't like each other, but there was a lot of interesting things that went on in this scrimmage. First and foremost, the Bucs defensive front, defensive line, I guess you would say, they just obliterated the Titans offensive line. I mean, especially in the pass rush drills, the one-on-ones. There was a time, where, Yaya Diaby was in the backfield, and of course Hassan Reddick, he played really, really well. He had an interception, and that was right after the fight. In fact, the play after the fight, they switched the ball over to, the offense of the Titans, and then on the next play, Cam Ward threw an interception. It was one of those deals where, Hassan Reddick drops into coverage and kind of like a zone read type thing, zone dog, and he makes the interception. So that was the end of that series because they were in 2-minute drives. All in all, pretty good, pretty impressive. The guys that you would expect to show up for the Bucs kind of did. I didn't think it was, Baker Mayfield's best day. I didn't think it was the offense's best day. And when they were doing the one-on-ones, look, the Titans made plenty of plays. First of all, Ward is a tremendous thrower of the football. Like I don't know how much Miami games or how many Miami games you watched, but when you see this guy in person, man, he has a strong arm, and he flicks it. He just flicks it, and it's, accurate. He gets it out of his hand, quick release, reads things out really well, makes quick decisions, throws the ball to spots. Like, I was impressed with. I guess that's why he's the number 1 overall pick, but man, I was really impressed with him. Now, the problem is, just based on what I saw, they're not going to be able to protect him this year. He could take a beating. He could take a real beating in that division. So you hope that's not the case, but it was impressive to see him, sort of operate, especially in the passing drills, the 7-on-7s. Team drills, like I said, I think the Bucs defense won those just because of the guys up front, and they covered really, really well too. I mean, they got some sticky guys that can cover. But to see Emeka Egbuka make big plays in the end zone, to see Mike Evans be Mike Evans. In fact, it was kind of funny. Towards the end of practice, they're doing red zone stuff. I think it was 7-on-7, but Baker dropped back to pass, kind of throws a corner route to Mike Evans, stretches full out, full extension, catches it, touchdown. He just keeps the ball and runs all the way to the locker room. It was awesome. End of practice is like, I'm out. I'm good. I got mine. You guys go finish practice if you want to. I was wondering if he was hurt or something, but it turns out he was just done. He was just hot, so. But all in all, pretty good first day. There was some people that stood out that you wouldn't have expected, like this safety, this rookie they have named J.J. Roberts, man. He made one of the best highlight reel interceptions I've seen. The ball was actually in the hands of the Tennessee receiver, And as he was gathering it, he just snatched it out of his hands. And started going the other way. It was pretty impressive. So they had good days by Kalijah Cansey, who was virtually unblockable both in the drills and on the field. You can't hit the quarterback, so it's a little bit of fool's gold there. You can't really see the balls coming out, but a lot of times they would have been sacked. But Cansey had 7.5 a year ago, and he missed 5 games with that calf injury to start the season. So if you could keep him healthy and he'd play like he did last year, 5 more games, he'd be well over double digits, and he thinks that if healthy, he can lead the league or at least the NFC in sacks, which is rare from a defensive tackle position. Um, but you know, like their defense, like their coverage. There's just a lot to like. Actually, it wasn't perfect. Don't get me wrong. Like they made plays too. Tennessee made a lot of plays, but on the whole, I think that the Bucs probably had a little better day. So the Bucs will play on Saturday night their first preseason game at Raymond James Stadium. Todd Bowles confirmed to us that do not expect to see starters on the field. They will not play in this game. That includes one Baker Mayfield. I would expect Kyle Trask to get the start. The plan is not to use Teddy Bridgewater, although he'll be in uniform, I think, and warm up. Will be on the sideline. And if they needed, for some reason, Teddy to get them to the end of the game, whatever that means, handoff. I mean, he doesn't know the offense very well. You have to be pretty simple. But if they just needed someone to stand out there and finish the game, he could do that. But I don't think that's the intent. I don't think they expect him on the field this week. Next week might be a different story, but this week, yeah, not so much. And what Todd has said, because he told us that the starters would play more this year, but what he clarified a little bit to us was, well, yeah, I said that, but I didn't say that they were going to play in every game. They may play more when they play. So that could be the third preseason game. That could be the second and third. We still have to wait and see. But when they play is the key phrase there, and he'd like to see them on the field together a little bit more than they've been. And I think that's probably a good idea, to be honest with you.
It is interesting how some teams are changing up this year. We saw Joe Burrow was what 9 for 10 or something, 2 touchdowns.
Played 2 series, yeah.
Yeah. And the Bengals have said, look, they've started slow the last few years.
Yeah.
And so they're treating August more like September and plan on playing their guys more to be ready for week 1.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, what are you saying that your guys weren't ready to play, but to get them ready, I have to subject my franchise quarterback to maybe taking some hits. Now he didn't, in the opener, I guess, carved him up 9 of 10 with 2 touchdowns. So that's the best case scenario ever. But I've told you this. I'm chicken when it comes to playing guys. Like I don't think it matters as much as just them being there for week 1 and hopefully beyond, because if you can't get them to the starting line, it really doesn't matter what they've done in the preseason. But I know guys like to play. You got to get some preseason reps underneath you. Then, regular season is even faster. So I get all that. But I just, I look around the league and every day there's some season-ending injury,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just playing Russian roulette with those guys the more you practice them.
Well, you saw Richardson got hit on Thursday night.
Yeah, dislocated his right throwing finger, his little finger, the pinky finger. It looked gruesome, sticking the wrong angle out of his hand, and that's going to set him back. Look, I thought Daniel Jones was probably going to win that job anyway, but you'd like to have it been a competition, and not just by default. So he's got to get that finger fixed, and I'm told that maybe he can make it back by the last preseason game. We'll see. But they kind of, Tennessee has their starter, and he's a bright kid, and he's going to have a big future. He's got a big arm. Um, you know, Made some plays, especially in the one-on-one drills, over there, and I think he's going to be really good. I do. I don't think you can teach the quick twitch sort of decision making that it takes to be a quarterback in this league, and something that I think Jameis kind of, Winston lacked a little bit. But this guy's pretty good. It's pretty good. So, they'll play Saturday night, and I'm sure we'll talk to Todd Bowles on Sunday. And then next week, we head up to Pittsburgh. I'll be going up Wednesday night. They got to practice Thursday morning against the Steelers in Pittsburgh because the Steelers don't train there typically. And, no one's going to play. It's going to be a big day for Kyle Trask because I think Trask may get the start. And regardless, there's only going to be, probably 2 quarterbacks that are, up and able unless they were to bring someone in now in the interim. But I expect Trask to be Trask. I expect him to be a gamer. We've kind of seen this act before that, when the lights come on and he gets a chance to actually play, he usually plays pretty well, just because it's pretty basic stuff that they're going against. But in due time, probably the week after, you're going to see Teddy, and he's doing some stuff on the side, just trying to get the cadence down and make plays and make good throws in the pat and go and that sort of thing. We should have known though that he was going to be a Buccaneer. Like this one should have hit us over the face because we talked a lot about the fact that if this team believes it's a Super Bowl team, that they should probably upgrade at quarterback in the backup position, and they didn't. But they had a lot of guys on that staff, that, coached at some point Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, he's been to so many teams. And starting with Charlie Strong, who was his coach at Louisville, and you go right down the roster. Even Todd Bowles, who's the head coach, was the head coach of the Jets and had Bridgewater in and kept him all during training camp, and they traded him towards the last cut to the New Orleans Saints. So you can go right down the line. There's like 5 or 6 guys that have been on a staff where Bridgewater has been. And so this was made to order. And if you're asking any of these guys at this point, like, okay, we have an injury to Mayfield, what quarterback would you trust? Who would you like to play? It's going to come out the same answer every time because half the staff knows what Teddy can do, has seen him play up close and personal, probably has a lot more faith in him because of his experience. And that the primary reason he's here, first and foremost, Todd Bowles, but also all these other coaches. George Edwards, who is the pass game coordinator on defense, was with the Minnesota Vikings when he was drafted there. So there's 6 degrees of Teddy Bridgewater, but there's a ton of guys, including the head coach, that knew this guy and knew he was available. I think it came down to probably him deciding, if he doesn't get suspended from coaching Miami Northwestern, is he just content with being a high school coach? He says he planned to play all along, and that he would still help those kids out. He thought the opportunity might come later in the year, but it came in the beginning. So he's sort of ready to go. But with all those connections, this one should have been advertised to me and everybody else that, if what we see of Kyle Trask isn't as good or isn't very good as I thought, they got to be thinking what I'm thinking, which is you're a Super Bowl team. You need a backup. Who is out there? Who was out there, not on a roster, not somebody you'd have to trade for, not somebody you'd have to see, if they clear waivers and they're available. And the answer all would come back to, why not just get Bridgewater? Why not get this guy that the whole staff has had success with? So I think that's what happened, and it may take some time, but I think the next week Bridgewater will play, and he'll get a little bit more each and every week of the offense, and we'll see if he can make this a competition or not. But Kyle Trask needs to have a good game. He needs to have a good game to kind of keep the Hounds at bay, and he has been a gamer, a better game player than a practice player. So he needs to show that out on Saturday night. And I kind of think he'll have a pretty good night. I really do.
Well, Les had sent us a question, a mailbag question on Twitter.
Yeah.
He says, Rick, heard the pod and all the Teddy talk.
Yeah.
I have 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
One, if all that is true about Teddy Bridgewater, why was he still available on August 5th? And 2, why didn't they sign him a month ago so he could have had a full camp? Seems like something has happened here recently to lead to this.
Well, those are great questions. And even though Teddy said that he still wanted to return to the NFL and his players knew it, fact of the matter was he wasn't suspended until a few weeks ago. I mean, it's reasonable to think that, maybe other teams got the impression he was done, that, he put the keys on the table. And even though he came back for one postseason game, with the Detroit Lions and actually threw a pass and completed it, maybe they believed he was too old, too far removed from the game. Like, we can do better. So one is just, I think, Teddy having this incident happen down there at Miami Northwestern and him saying, well, if I'm not going to coach, what can I do? Is there a market for me out there? So that might have been part of it. I think teams probably assumed he was retired. He was retired. He coached the team to the 6A state championship, and they probably figured, like, his playing days, were probably over. And then this happened. He gets suspended. Now teams probably called and inquired, hey, since you're not going to coach down there at Northwestern anymore, Miami, how about, would you consider playing again? And it was a quick, resounding yes. Hell yes. And so here he is. And Baker talked about him, and, Baker really hasn't been a teammate of his, but he said, man, he goes, just such a positive guy. He's going to be great for all of us in that quarterback room, very calm, like, no agendas, just wants to help out any way he can. And so in a quick time, he's kind of impressed the guys in his quarterback room. I know that. So, it's interesting because I think Ted will be the answer short term. Certainly, he's a 1-year deal, but like, if they need somebody right away to win a game, that they may turn to him. They could start with Trask and see how he does, but I think very, very quickly they would try to get Bridgewater in there. But right now, his challenge is going to be just understanding the offense, getting rhythm with his offensive players, his receivers. So he's got a lot of work to do before we get, to the opener, but he's got time. Time is on his side. We're still, a couple, days away from the first preseason game. So they got a little bit of time to work with him. Hey, friends, by the way, make sure you get on down to Breitling Boutique at International Plaza Mall. The Breitling Company has been making the best Swiss watches now for over 140 years. They've been at International Plaza Mall for just a little over 5 years. Now, you want to go there and spend some time in the store. It's on the second floor, center of the mall. Go in there, let them pour you a drink, find out about the greatest timepiece that you're going to own in your entire life. For men's watches, they have the chronomats and the Navitimers, and women's watches for your wife, your girlfriends. These are beautiful sports watches that are durable, and they come with an array of colored wristbands for her to choose from. And while supplies last, they are offering NFL team watches. All 32 teams have their own separate chronomat watch, but they're going to have the team colors on the face, the logo, and it's while supplies last. That's the key here. They're going fast. You go to tampabay.com, you're likely to see an ad that has the Buccaneers team watch. Jump on it now. It's Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. And when you get there, please let them know that you heard about it on Sports Day Tampa Bay.
All right, Tommy on X had tweeted us a question. He says, hey, guys, with the 50th anniversary of the Bucs season this year, could you rank these 3 Gene Deckerhoff radio calls 3 through 1 since it's their 50th anniversary? The Rondé pick 6 to send the Bucs to Super Bowl 37, Michael Spurlock's kickoff return for the first one ever in Bucs history, and Matt Bryant's game-winning 62-yard field goal.
Wow. I'd have to listen to Rondé's before, because I'm used to listening to Joe Buck call that one, and he ends up with, and the Bucs will ride this one all the way to the Super Bowl. I don't have a vivid memory of, and maybe that says something in and of itself, of Rondé Barber's pick. I remember being at Veterans Stadium, which was cold as hell because they didn't have any heat where we were, in the open, kind of, not an open air press box, but a very small, cramped little box, and we were all kind of freezing, and I think my laptop may have almost frozen up to where I couldn't see the type on it. But that one was like, when Rodney intercepts that pass, that you could hear a jaw drop in that building. I mean, it was packed. There was 75,000 people there, and they were all just in absolute stunned disbelief. Like, it was incredible. So I don't remember the specific call, but I'm sure Gene went nuts with Rondé intercepting the pass. So I won't judge that. I'll hold that one back until I hear it. I will say the greatest call that I heard him do to me was Michael Spurlock's touchdown on a kickoff return. The Bucs had gone, I don't know, many years without a kickoff return for a touchdown. It was like this albatross that was hanging on their backs. Made no sense. Plenty of kickoffs through the years, plenty of guys that were capable back there, but it just never really happened until it did. And when it did, I think that Gene did a terrific job as George Stewart, the special teams coach, is running full sprint trying to stay on pace with Spurlock to the end zone, and Gene at one point just goes, "Run, Michael, run! Run, Michael, run!" Which is kind of what I think everybody in the stadium that was a Bucs fan was saying to themselves: "Don't get caught from behind. This is the one," and it was the one. That was pretty cool. Well, the other one was what, Matt Bryant, 62-yard field goal, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, that one I gotta say, for the moment, there was one phrase in that call that made absolutely no sense to me at all. I think I know what he was going for, but it fell awfully flat. So just to recap, they were playing the Eagles, I think, and they got the ball late and got it not very deep across the 50-yard line as sort of time was running out. And so you're looking at a pretty long field goal by Matt Bryant, 60 something yards, 62 I want to say it was. I don't think it was 63, but a damn near record setting field goal at the buzzer to attempt it. And the danger is you could get that block. There's a lot of things that could go bad, but they gave Brian a shot. In the call that Gene gets, I don't to this day I don't know what he meant, but he was the kick was up, and he's like, there's the snap. The kick is up. It is. And it lasted for about 10 seconds because the damn thing was 60 yards away. It's good. It's good. He starts screaming, which is great. And then he says, "Matt Bryant, you're my hero," which is fine. And the crowd's going nuts. And then he says, "And the Bucs win it the old-fashioned way with a 62-yard field goal." It's like, wait, hold on. You lost me there. The old-fashioned way? What? Like they were just like Tom Dempsey and them were just kicking 60-yard field goals to win games all the time? What the hell?
I thought maybe E.F. Hutton was a sponsor.
That's right. The old-fashioned way.
We earn it.
And then, at that time, Hardy Nickerson, who was a lot of things, but color commentary was really not one of his strengths. He was doing the color commentary that day, and he didn't know what to say. I mean, it was stunning, right? It was a stunning comeback against the Eagles, and McNabb was sitting there on the sidelines on a knee with his head between his legs after they lost. And at one point, after the whole pronouncement of the Bucs win it the old-fashioned way, he turned. Apparently, Gene turned to Hardy. I don't know if he remembers any of this. He turns to Hardy and he goes, "Say hallelujah." And I don't know that Hardy thought like that was a cue for him to say something, but Hardy goes with a very disengaged hallelujah. It's those. I mean, it was a crazy moment. It was an unbelievable moment, and for what it meant to Matt Bryant and to win that game the way they did. But it was just kind of disjointed all the way around. But yeah, I'll take. I not remembering Ronde Barber, although that was the most significant play in Bucs history. I'll take Hardy Nickerson just because it was so. It was Hardy. Hardy is not that one. The Michael Spurlock was the one I think is the best call you ever had. When you consider they had, I don't know, 20 something, whatever the number of years was, without ever having returned a kickoff for a touchdown. And then when he gets inside the 30, 40-yard line of the Buccaneers, he starts screaming at the top of his lungs, "Run, Michael, run!" And that made so much sense to me, because everybody's kind of thinking that. So I thought that was a good call. All right, the Rays continue their West Coast road trip. They took 2 out of 3 against the Angels. They're now in Seattle, I believe. Is that right?
Correct. Where they'll see Randy Arozarena tonight.
Randy Arozarena. So that'll be fun. I'm watching a game actually as as the crow flies, as they say. The Raiders are visiting Seattle right now. Love that city. Absolutely hope I can go there this year. The Bucs are playing all the way up there in the Pacific Northwest. The Rays, however, got some bad news on the DL front or IL front, and it just seems to be the storyline of this guy, Johnny Deluca, going back on the IL, and it seems like he got off it like 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, so what, he missed 3.5 months with a shoulder issue,
Yeah,
and now he's going on for a hamstring issue?
right. He hit a triple the other night,
Mhm.
and he kind of pulled up at the last minute at third, and then when the inning ended and they stranded him, he kind of just walked right by Cash and said, "I'm done. Like my hamstring hurts, man. I'm out of here." Um, don't know how severe it is, but man, what a tough season for DeLuca. Has just missed so much time, out
But
there
he's
on the
played
big
all of
club.
20 games, so.
That's terrible. Yeah, it's just a lost season, you know.
Mhm.
And who are they going to bring up at this point? I mean,
Probably Everson Pereira, the guy they got
the guy
from
they
the
got,
Yankees,
yeah.
or Tristan Peters, who was a lefty outfielder they got back in the trade from the Giants back 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
either one of those guys are probably lined up to replace him,
yeah,
but we'll find out today. So
yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, but they took 2 out of 3 against the Angels, which is good. If they can
yep.
win a series in Seattle, not all is lost.
Yeah. Now,
I
now
mean,
Peters was not in the lineup for Durham on Thursday. Pereira was. I don't know if that means anything. They're
ooh,
at Memphis.
that's
They're at
interesting.
Memphis, which is closer to Seattle, so it wouldn't be too hard to
Yeah,
get someone there, I would think. But
no, pretty decent flight, probably about 5 hours, 4.5, 5 hours. But
yeah, from
I know
Memphis,
it's
it's probably shorter than that.
shorter. You think?
I mean, it's
It's
about
like,
it's 5 or 6 from here.
oh, it's every bit of 6. I think it's more like closer to 7 from
Is
here.
it? Okay.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I haven't gone there in a bit. Last time I was there with Eduardo Encina. He's helped me cover the Bucks, and he took me on a hike. Eduardo's a big hike guy. Did you know this?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he likes to hike, which is great. I like outdoor stuff, especially up there in the Pacific Northwest where it's nice and cool and everything. But he took me to this mountain where it had like 1,000 switchbacks, which are when you go one way and then go turn around and go back the other, and you're kind of steadily climbing up this mountain. And I was not prepared. Like I didn't have the right shoes. I was, slipping all over the place, and he was, including he had a cane, which was helpful to him navigate that whole thing. But it's so beautiful out there. I mean,
Yep.
I've been to a lot of football games and the original Starbucks. I've been in the Space Needle years ago when Seattle, I don't know which one it was playing in a championship game. They were hosting it, and the NFL used to throw lavish parties on the eve of championship games. Didn't matter what city you were in, the AFC, NFC, there was always going to be a hotel, kind of a central location, and you're going to go in there, and they had, incredible spreads and things like that. But Seattle, one time they had it in the Space Needle. It was cool as hell. And I remember after the Space Needle, I don't know how this occurred, but Joe Buck was there, and during the sort of reception, and he asked, like, "Where are you guys going after this?" Shoot, I don't know. I don't know Seattle that well. Anyway, we ended up at a bar, and Joe couldn't have been a nicer guy. I thought, wow, talk about humility. Like, there's a guy. All these people are coming up to him. Has time for everybody. Had time for us. Like, I thought that was one of the cooler nights. Just kind of hanging out. NFC Championship game the next day. Hang out in the Space Needle. It was a lot of fun. Back in the day. Back in the day.
By the way, just
So,
for clarification, it's a 6-hour and 5-minute flight from Tampa to Seattle. So
allegedly.
it's about 4 hours from Memphis to Seattle.
That's if your pilot, steps on it. That's if he.
Well,
really
that's if you could find a direct flight from Memphis to Seattle.
Yeah,
too.
that good point.
I don't think there's many of those. So
They don't exist. No, those non-stops from Tampa to Seattle are probably few and far between. But it's a hike. It's a legitimate hike. I can tell you that. But boy, I love that city.
speaking of the Rays, we got a mailbag question from Craig.
Mm-hmm.
It says, I've noticed that during the Rays freefall, there have been multiple games where the umps have squeezed the Rays, like yesterday that led to a 3-run bomb on the next pitch to Mike Trout. Why has Cash not come out and contested these calls? Stand up for his guys. Has Cash lost his fire?
Well, he may not have lost his fire, but he's not interested in losing $10,000 or whatever the fine is either. You're not allowed to argue balls and strikes. I mean, and if you thought that arguing was going to make the guy a better umpire, you would do it every pitch, right? These guys now have automatic feedback, and they get graded pretty quickly. So it doesn't
Shouldn't he have
matter
gone
what you
out there
say.
and said, "My guys are savages"?
What?
That's what Aaron Boone said to an umpire once. You don't remember that a couple years ago?
Well, yeah, I do vaguely. Yeah, it's just weird. We're savages. I don't know. Cash isn't one to really get thrown out that much, to be honest with you.
No, I mean,
He'll
he's one
stand
of
up
those-
for his guys, but
well, he's going to go out if his guys are getting in trouble. That's when he's going to go out there because you take
I
the
think
heat
if they're
off him,
getting plunked, he's going to go out there.
Well, but I'm saying if they start yapping at the ump or they're
to stop them from getting thrown
they're
out.
complaining. Yeah, then he's going to come out to protect
absolutely.
them.
Yeah. But for the most part, he's kind of the no fighting, no bitching, no, just go out there and practice and do your thing. They got a tough stretch, but I'm wondering if they could win these series, right? If you could have a decent road trip where you won all these series, like where would that put them? It all depends on what's happened up above them. The problem is there's just too many teams ahead of them right now. Even if you continue to win, not all of those teams are going to lose.
Yeah, I mean, you're 4.5 out of the last wild card.
Right.
But you've got to jump Kansas City, Texas, and Cleveland just to get to the Yankees for that last
and
spot.
that's the problem right there.
You're going to need another run similar to what you did, the 25-9.
Right.
You're going to need another run, close to that.
But they'll be mostly road games. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely the next 9 are all on the West Coast too.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah,
so some more late night with the Rays, of course.
Absolutely, which I kind of dig because we're always up late.
Yeah, 9:40, 9:40, and 4:10 this weekend. Then you get the Athletics next week, and those are 10 o'clock starts
in Sacramento,
West Sacramento.
West Sacramento, exactly.
They want to be known as West Sacramento, not just Sacramento.
Exactly. There's a lot of change. I wonder when the other thing is like, and not that it'll affect the team like day to day, but like I also wonder when the sale will be complete. I think it's going to be sooner than later. I think we're going to see it before the Rays season's over. Maybe even way before.
Well, I guess the deal could be done by
it's got to be approved.
I don't know when the owners. Yeah, I don't know when the owners would vote for it. But the deal's got to be done first before the owners can vote for
it.
Right. So.
You're exactly right. To qualify that, I think before too much time passes, is they'll have a deal struck, and then it'll, like to your point, who knows when they want to get around to ratifying it. But
I don't think that's going to affect the team that much. I mean, because I don't think nothing's going to change till the offseason, if anything changes. It's not like if the sale went through in, Labor Day that all of a sudden the new owner's going to fire people. Like, nothing's going to change till the off. Not that the new owner's going to come in and do that, but whatever changes
You're not going to see Eric Neander walk out of the building when it goes over.
No,
Now
it may happen sometime in the offseason. Yeah,
because his name's been brought up with Washington and others. So
yeah, so I mean, we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. Even if that's sooner than later, if that, how much that changes anything for the team.
I can't imagine that the players, knowing that at minimum they're moving back into the Trop, and they'll probably likely extend that lease now a couple of years through. I can't imagine, as much as you have to worry about, that you can let that creep into your head. Like, oh, what's going on with my franchise? Oh, we have a new owner. It's a production business. Like, you just got to work your craft.
I think the players, that impacts the players less than the other people in the organization. Take your marketing people, your sales people, your ticket people, those are the one. I mean, the baseball players are the product, and they have a union, and you got to field 26 players every game, and you got your 40-man roster. Like, that stuff doesn't change.
Right.
But a new owner could wipe out the rest of the organization. I don't think this new owner is going to do that, although we have no clue. And that's always the fear of it. But what changes come. I think for the players, I mean, there's always some because it's talked about and worried, and you work with some of these people that could be affected by it too, even if the players aren't. But that's where I think more it's the other people in the organization that can be a little worried at times, particularly if you're moving. I mean, I think knowing that from what we know, the new owners want to keep the team in this area. They want to stay on the Tampa side, but whichever side, they want to stay in Tampa Bay. I think that's the biggest thing for everyone, right? Like,
yeah, just keep them in the area. Yeah.
Am I going to have to move my family? Am I going to have to uproot what I've got?
Sure.
Although I don't even know if that impacts most of the players. I mean, the joke was when the here to stay announcement came, that the Rays were staying here and going to build a stadium and it was going to open in 2028.
Yep.
They were asking the players about it, but the joke was Wander Franco was going to be the only player still here when that stadium opened. Well, that's not going to happen.
Not so much.
But the Rays roster turns over so fast. Like,
now it's going to be longer, yeah.
You were asking stuff 5-6 years in the future. Like the players are talking about it, but most of them aren't going to be there anyway.
Yeah. The first thing they got to do is with this Trop moving back in is extend the lease. They have to extend the lease. 3 to 4 years anyway to get that new ballpark.
Until you're probably 5 years out from a new ballpark. I mean, honestly, it takes about 3 years. It takes about 3 years to build it, but you don't have
3. I thought maybe it was 2. Okay.
It's usually about 3, depending, because there's also infrastructure stuff usually around it, from roads to to whatever else that goes in.
Water, sewer, all of it.
But at this point, you have new owners coming in. Maybe they've started a little bit, but where are you building the stadium? And then you got to design it and all, like, before you even get to the building part.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, now granted, you've got a deal in principle. Maybe they've already started. Maybe they know where they're going to build it. I mean, we may not know, but they may have a good idea at this point. But still, you're still at least 4 years away. And you've got to play 3 more years at the Trop based on the original lease. So you're going to have to extend it probably a year or two. And I would think St. Pete is open to that. Heck, you're going to put, now it's up to $60 million.
They got to fix the roof. They want them in there as long as they can, right?
Right. I mean, it's already, the price has gone up. It's over $60 million now. I mean,
jeez.
You extend another year or two, you get at least some more money back, back off that investment.
Yeah. Well, I certainly think that they're trying to go to Tampa. They're not ruling anything out, but I think, that Ybor district or waterfront area, whatever's back there, I think that's going to interest them. We'll see if they can pull that off or not. Yep. And if not there, maybe the fairgrounds, maybe they go a little bit north. You just don't want them going to Orlando. You just don't want your baseball team to trot on out of here, which is always possible if the new owners can't make things work. But their intent is good, is to stay right here. And there won't be, if they do finish this transaction before the season is over, there won't be any disruption because they're going to continue on with the people in the front office and let them, play out the year, so to speak. And then they'll of course they'll evaluate and decide, just how they want to run this thing.
Now, the one thing I don't know is with the lease with St. Pete, if there is no 2027 season, does that count as a year, or does it just extend another year and that buys you another year without extending the lease? I don't know. I don't know how that lease reads.
I'm not sure because I don't know how long it would take to construct this thing, assuming they were going to start soon.
Right. I'm just saying, though, you have 3 years left on your lease. If they don't play the 2027 season, does that count as a season, or is that you didn't play? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of out of the Rays' control, but I don't know how the lease reads. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, fine.
And, there's no guarantee that they're not going to play a 2027 season. My guess is they'll start late or miss some of spring training for sure, but because baseball almost always does. But there's a chance that season could be shortened or not played based on how far apart the owners and the players seem to be at this point. But there's also over a year until that deal's up. Being far away at this point doesn't mean you can't get a deal done.
It's so reminiscent of like the Glazers buying the Bucs, not knowing where they were going to play. Like it's uncanny, that's going to replay itself again, and comparatively, the Bucs didn't spend a ton of money to get this team, and they could afford to put money into the new sombrero. But there is a lot of parallels. When you have ownership change and
There
a
is.
stadium need, and you don't really know exactly how you're going to get it, or if you're going to have to move. Which I think the Bucs were prepared to move to Baltimore until Art Modell took that option away.
There is some parallels, but the one difference is there's a commissioner this time saying the team's staying in
True.
Tampa Bay.
It's staying right there. Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
the
That's huge.
NFL was move where you want, basically.
Yep.
Like, if that's what it takes to get a new stadium, go move.
They would have approved Baltimore. They did for the Cleveland Browns, and they
Yep.
became the Ravens, and they put a team, a new team back in Cleveland because it was a storied franchise they didn't market. They didn't want to lose.
I mean, for as much as baseball gets ripped for, you move teams. I mean, Oakland moving to West Sacramento and eventually Vegas is only the second team in over 50 years to move.
And that's something. Yeah.
The other one was the Expos to Washington when baseball took over that team and moved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I mean, baseball doesn't move where the NFL has moved lots of teams, and NBA has, and NHL has, and baseball doesn't move teams, but yet they're the ones who get ripped for moving teams.
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So we made it to the weekend. We got the Bucs against
Bucs football for the first time since January.
That's right, against Tennessee. We'll have real Bucs football. Saturday night.
Real is a relative term.
Okay. Yeah. Well, look, some Amazon drivers will be playing in the game. What can I tell you? And look, I got nothing against that. That's a great career. Don't get me wrong.
No,
and
look, it's real. It's real for these guys that are trying to make a roster or put tape out there to make somebody else's roster. It's real for them.
I can't imagine I'll be honest with you, and I've seen guys do this. Like Sabby Piscatelli, when he was trying to make this team as a safety, and he did make it, stood in front of a mirror and just looked at himself in his uniform, almost weirdly so. He just couldn't believe. He's like, I'm in the NFL. You see, the shield is right on your collar. It's right there underneath your chin.
It is absolutely everything for those guys. It's everything.
Got to be a surreal moment, right? Like the butterflies, and you're walking into a stadium. I don't know how many people will be there. It's preseason, but you walk into an NFL stadium and you see the other team over there, and you're like, this is it. This is where it all starts. And that's got to be an amazing feeling. So
I was talking to Lightning had their development camp at the beginning of July.
Yeah, I remember that.
The first day of practice got canceled because the Iceplex in Brandon lost power. And so the ice was melted and bad. So
bushy.
They couldn't practice. They worked out. They did this. And I was talking to one of the guys in the front office just about it. I said, well, it's you just wait till tomorrow. It's not ideal. But he's like, you know what, though, the biggest thing? Many of these guys were just drafted. That was the first time they were going to put on the Lightning jersey.
Or, wow.
Any other, whatever team, if this was happened in, Detroit or whatever. But, like, it's a big deal for those guys.
Yeah, it was.
Just draft. That was going to be the first, and they had to wait an extra day. Now, they got to go do it, and everything's fine, and, they made the most of it and stuff. But, like, those guys look forward to that. Like, and guys playing in their first preseason game in the NFL, whether they make the roster or not, it's still, you got there. I mean, you still on an NFL field playing. I mean,
you were an NFL player. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's your dream as a kid. And to have your chance to make that roster starts at that game.
They're going to play like hell. They're all going to play like hell because there's only so many jobs, and that's what's fun to watch about the preseason is to see the individual battles and the no names that you see. All that's really something. I mean, they get after it, and that's another reason why I wouldn't play a lot of veterans, because there's certain etiquette you need to play with. So I mean, I tolerate preseason. I don't enjoy it necessarily. I think that Baker will play, and the starter's probably the third preseason game. Maybe they get a series before that, but certainly none this week. And that's the way it goes. But we're finally at a point where we can play a game and start talking about performers and what's going to happen here and there. And so that part I'm excited about. Anyway, make sure you go see our friends at Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Check out the Chronomats, the Navitimer watches for men. Also, while supplies last, NFL watches, all 32 teams represented. They have women's watches for your wife, your girlfriend. These are sports watches that are durable, and they have a beautiful array of colored wristbands you can choose from. It is Breitling Boutique. Make sure you let them know that you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. Thanks for listening, everybody. For Steve Versnick, I'm Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great weekend.